Kathy Lipp, the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Patriot Home Care, Town Square Restaurant, and Beaver County Radio.
The news is big from Friendly Federal Credit Union, and there are several stories to get out. So, with no further delay, let's get to our experts at the teller window. First, Karen Latshaw, what do you have for us?
Backed by popular demand, the annual Friendly Federal Credit Union luncheon meeting is happening August 24th at the Fez in Hopewell Township. Tickets are on sale now.
That's good news for sure.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
As far back as I could remember, I always knew everyone in our government was a gangster.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. You're once again listening to the smooth, liquid, candy voice of me, your host, Joseph Anthony Corsai. In studio, we have our producer, Ryan. Ryan, how are you?
How are you, sir? I always thought that you had a nice voice, but sweet, soothing candy, I don't know. But you're in the ballpark, though.
Okay, and holding it down back in Allegheny County, as always, our co-host, Mr. Gordy. Mark, how are you?
I am great, Joe and Ryan. It's great to be back with you guys and back with all of our listeners. We got some big news here in Allegheny County in the last, 24 hours. The NFL draft is coming to Pittsburgh in 2026. So
get the homeless out. Get the homeless out now. You got 2 years. Ryan, what do you think?
I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's going to do amazing things for businesses here in Pittsburgh. The one thing that people do keep talking about is, are we going to have enough space? Because they were able to jam over 3 days 1 million people down into that square in Detroit just this past draft. And that was a lot of the concern. What kind of, just the way our city's built, is this going to create problems? But I think they'll get it done.
They got Robinson. They got all those areas outside. They just got to do what Gavin Newsom did with San Francisco and Xi Jinping came. Just got to get rid of the homeless. They got 2 years. They don't got to do it overnight. You got 2 years.
Yeah. So it's going to be great.
It's going to be a great time. I can't wait. They'll probably have a high draft pick, but all right, moving on. We're going to start off today's episode with I want to actually remind our audience of another time a presidential candidate was accused of breaking the law when it had to do with the handling of classified documents. So way back in 2016, it was unveiled that Hillary Clinton kept a private server in her home. She knew it was illegal, and she did it anyway. This was discovered in the height of the 2016 primary election cycle. The server had highly classified material on it. But for some reason, in an election year, when national security was on the ballot, she was allowed to skate by the FBI. This was even after James Comey came out and said days before the general election that more classified documents were found. This time on Anthony Weiner's laptop, of all places. By the way, shout out to his ex-wife, Huma, who is now with the son of Hillary mega donor George Soros. Anyway, this all happened during an election year, and Hillary was never prosecuted for it, ever. Not by Trump or his DOJ, or for 4 years after that. See, Obama knew about Hillary's server. That's why he didn't go after her. He'd implicate himself. As for Trump, I'm not sure why he skipped out on that campaign promise. But let's fast forward to this election cycle 8 years later. And this is from Maze Moore on X. I'm just going to summarize it. Fannie Willis awarded her lover lucrative contracts in return, and in return, he took her around the world on fancy vacations. The excuse was she paid him back in cash. Even though she couldn't explain where the cash came from, there was no records of withdrawals, just that she keeps a lot of cash in her house. Her lover had no records of ever receiving a dime from her, and the judge was like, okay, carry on. Letitia James claimed the most valuable property in Palm Beach was worth $18 million, and the judge was like, sounds good. Here's a $500 million fine. Some psycho lady claimed Trump raped her 30 years ago. She couldn't remember the day, week, year, or much of anything else. But Trump called her crazy, and the judge is like, hey, can't talk about her like that. Pay her $100 million. Now Michael Cohen, the prosecution's star witness, has just admitted to stealing tens of thousands of dollars from Trump, Cohen's former client. Bragg couldn't care less about Cohen's crimes as long as he keeps talking about Trump. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Biden family can't point to one single legit service anyone in the family has provided as a reason for the tens of millions of dollars they received while Biden was VP. What an absolute clown show. And again, that's from Maze Moore on X. And what did we learn late Tuesday night about one of these Trump cases? They authorized deadly force on a former president and his Secret Service detail. So Julie Kelly, I believe, was the first one to break this news. So for our audience that hasn't heard this, that's been living under a rock, unsealed filings on the classified documents case show that the FBI authorized the use of deadly force at Mar-a-Lago. So the FBI authorized the use of deadly force. Agents were instructed and prepared to engage with Trump's Secret Service detail. They had an on-site medical team available in case it got ugly. So Merrick Garland, the DOJ, and the FBI risked the lives of a former president and his family, along with the staff that was there and the guests of Mar-a-Lago. For what? For classified documents? Remember when they said it was the nuclear codes or something was what they needed to get? Lives were senselessly risked with this act. And again, for what? This was a publicity stunt. And in the case that's attached to it, there's the raid, the case that's attached, Jack Smith is now on the defensive. This case is getting thrown out. People need to be arrested and go to jail for this. We need to call out everyone that played a hand in it. Merrick Garland said he personally approved the raid on Mar-a-Lago. The guy below him at the FBI, Steve D'Antuono, who left his FBI post late last year for the private sector, he's the same guy that led the FBI field office in Michigan that set up the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping host. Another question. Did the D.C. field office or whoever conducted the raid inform Governor Ron DeSantis? I know the Florida State Police escorted the FBI from the airport to Mar-a-Lago. So DeSantis knew in advance something was going down. Also, and then Mark, I'll get to you, they raided Barron Trump's bedroom. That's the funniest part to me. Look, there's photos of Hunter Biden driving his dad's Corvette out of the garage where the classified documents were found exist. There are photos. Did they search Hunter Biden's bedroom at that residence? No. But they searched a 16-year-old kid's bedroom at Mar-a-Lago. Again, there are videos out there of Hunter Biden sniffing cocaine with hookers, but instead of going after him, they raid Barron Trump's room. And remember, they also went through Melania's clothes during the raid. But we can't even hear Biden's tapes of him with Robert Hur. Mark, was this the assassination attempt we've always thought would happen and we just misreported it 2 years ago?
Well, that's a good question, Joe. I think if it was, they probably would have raided Mar-a-Lago when Trump was actually there, because he wasn't there. He was in another location, I believe. But if you look what D.C. Drano put on X, it's a great point. If the FBI raided Obama's house when Trump was POTUS and was authorized to use deadly force, there would be riots. The media would call him a dictator. Impeachment proceedings would start the next week. But when Biden does it to Trump, the GOP just tweets, impeach Biden. Joe, again, we love playing if the shoe was on the other foot with Trump and comparing it to Biden and if the roles were reversed. But this is crazy. I mean, why were they authorized to use deadly force? What were they hoping was going to happen? It seems like you brought up a good point. I mean, did they want to engage with the Secret Service there? It's a federally protected facility. He's still under Secret Service protection. Were they trying to terrorize guests at Mar-a-Lago? Why raid little Barron's bedroom? It blows my mind. And again, think about if Trump were to do this to Barack Obama or Joe Biden. This would be like the end of the world. But somehow, this is acceptable. So, Joe, I have to ask, though, about the classified documents. I do believe that will get thrown out. So we believe that they were there, and Mike Davis has tweeted this and other people, and we're all in agreement. They were there to get back, the FBI was, to acquire the classified Crossfire Hurricane documents that would have implicated Hillary Clinton in the whole Russiagate scheme. Is that we're on the same page with that, right?
Yeah, it could be more documents than that, but that is just one of the things that the theory is that they were going back to get those because, and weren't those declassified, or am I?
Well, apparently, they are, but the working theory is that Trump took those documents back to Mar-a-Lago with him and declassified them in the final hours of his presidency. We don't know that for sure, but that is a theory. So in addition to those, Joe, are we saying that Joe Biden sent him more classified documents, and that's what they're trying to frame him on? Is that what the whole...
From what I understand...
I'm a little confused on this whole timeline.
Well, from what I understand, they did send him more documents, and they went after those documents, but those documents were found out of order in evidence. Remember that whole thing that went on? And then when they first did the raid, I can't get over this. I just can't get over it. They said it was about the nuclear codes or something with the nuclear launch codes. Do you not remember this? I'm not making this up. I could pull up the article right now. But so if that was a lie, they keep on changing their story. And like, you expect like a defense, a plaintiff to change a story, or like the defendant. Not the FBI over and over again, not the DOJ. I mean, what was the reason they raided? We can't know? Let me look this up real quick.
And I think hopefully more of those documents get unsealed. I mean, we would need to have the affidavit unsealed, I believe. Correct? Or has that has not been unsealed?
Well, honestly, we'll wait for Julie Kelly on this one because her reporting has been on fire. But this is from the Washington Post, and we all know how good the Washington Post is. I mean, they took down Richard Nixon. FBI searched Trump's home to look for nuclear documents and other items. Sources say. Again, are these like legit sources, or are these the 51 intel sources that said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation? I don't know.
Yeah. They were very, very interested in these documents. But, you know, at the same time, Joe, I just keep going back to this one single point for this whole witch hunt classified document thing that Trump has been dragged through the mud on. He was the president. He may have and probably did declassify documents in the final days, hours, whatever, weeks of his presidency. Joe Biden had classified documents. He was the vice president.
And a senator.
Senator. He was not authorized to have these documents. What is so hard to understand about this whole thing? Crazy.
We're burying the lead because the lead kind of is how they sent basically a hit squad to Mar-a-Lago and searched. We're going to go door to door. They actually had a detail there in case things got hairy. I think it was.
Apparently, they had it all. They had the route to the hospital even mapped out.
Yeah. Yes.
In the event where they needed to transport people by ambulance to the hospital in case things were to get deadly.
And they say this is standard operating procedure. And I listened to Dan Bongino yesterday. He said about how this is definitely not standard operating procedure. But Julie Kelly says no search warrant was cited in her report. No references to armed agents. The search was voluntary and partially delayed because Biden did not want to relinquish any diary entries. Let's see the order. So again, you compare that with Joe Biden's, who wasn't even president, his classified document search, where they were found in numerous locations, not just one, completely treated completely different. And also on X, Julie Kelly said, federal laws specifically cover former presidents and their families. Same for individuals under Secret Service protection. Is there an exemption for the FBI? And then she points to 18 U.S. Code Section 879, threats against a former president and certain other persons. And there aren't any exemptions for the FBI or law enforcement. Mark, they found cocaine in the White House library. I mean, could the FBI just go in there with their guns blazing and try to arrest the person that left the cocaine in there? I mean, none of this was... I don't understand how they say it's standard operating procedure when it's definitely not standard operating procedure on a former president that has Secret Service protection. Like, what if Trump was like, no, you can't come into my wife's room? What would the FBI agents do? How far were they willing to push this?
Well, I think that's another point, Joe, that was being made. If they tried to have a raid on the White House, they would say, no, you're not coming in here. So to your point, is that when they would engage them with deadly weapons?
I don't know. What would have happened? The news would have took control of the narrative, and it would have been Trump versus the FBI, the DOJ, the Biden administration, and the news media. Whenever, I don't know, it took us 2 years to see how bad this raid really, really was. And it could be worse. We know how to be done with it.
Yeah, I think there's still more information to come out of this whole thing, Joe. And I think we're going to get that information eventually, little by little, especially with this whole Jack Smith trial unraveling. So I do think there's going to be more to this than we know right now.
How about this reporting on X from MSNBC? Just in, new images of Walt Nauta, Trump's
Nada.
Trump's valet and co-defendant in the classified documents case, moving boxes. The photos were included in a newly unsealed court record. Prosecutors allege it shows he was part of the conspiracy to conceal classified material from the feds. And it's two pictures of him, which looks like, hey, he looks like he's moving boxes. But then if you go back and you remember, because you have a brain, there were articles that cited that the DOJ told Trump to move the boxes to a separate locked room. This photo, it says clear as day, is from June of 2022. That was before the raid. And there's articles here. Trump now accuses FBI of ripping off the padlock they asked him to install on a Mar-a-Lago basement where boxes of documents were kept, as reports claim. An informant told agents where to look. I wonder if that informant was Walt. And you see how they make him look like he's guilty already whenever, if you just have a brain and think back, you realize, oh, wait a minute, he was asked to do that.
Yeah.
And they still raided
some
them.
of the comments. Wow, a picture of a guy moving boxes. Your investigative reporting skills are awe-inspiring.
We need this, though. We need people. That's the best way to combat this, because we can't combat it on the streets by protesting. Look, it's all what happened January 6th. We have to make fun of these people. We have to just embarrass them over and over again. That's the only way to fight back, with humor and laughter, because when we try any other way, look what happens.
Yeah.
And honestly, we've covered this before. Like, what about Harrison Floyd? It's a completely unrelated case, but Harrison Floyd is one of Trump's co-defendants in Georgia. And this is from Cernovich on X. 2 plainclothes FBI agents chased down a black Trump supporter who they knew had a concealed carry permit and tried to bait him into drawing on them. Then they could shoot to kill. This is how the regime hunts Trump supporters down. And if you remember, they did show the arrest footage of Trump co-defendant. What was his name again? Harrison Floyd. And this is in the Georgia case. So they are tracking down these people. They are using force on these people, and it's 2 plainclothes FBI agents. What are you trying to do? What are they trying to do? Do they want a story out there where, like, a Trump co-defendant fights back and gets killed? Is that what they want? And again, they're all about race and minorities and stuff. This is a black guy. Mark, before we go to break, anything?
No, I mean, this is a very, very interesting whole situation here with Trump. But you know what, Joe? The tide is turning. I mean, the vibes are shifting, if not have shifted. The polls are in Trump's favor. The more they try to persecute him and single him out and do all these things, to try to ruin his life, the more popular he gets. And, we're going to talk about his rally later tonight in the Bronx.
All right, just again for our audience, what if Trump authorized an armed raid on former President Obama's house and put his daughters in danger, or got his chef killed? How would the media report on that? I mean, imagine if they went through Michelle Obama's drawers. I'm just going to not even have a joke there. Okay, after the break, we revisit that one time Hunter Biden went to his lawyer's residence to join him for a smoke sesh on the balcony. I wonder how the lawyer charged Hunter for that one. Was it by the hour or by the ounce? We'll talk about it when we return to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate.
You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
Do you like sports? Then tune in every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Brian Pasquale. Brian is loaded with statistics and interesting sports viewpoints. The show can also be seen on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page. Plus, Brian will be taking your calls as well. That's One Man's Opinion on Sports with Brian Pasquale. Every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. on Beaver County Radio.
Join Beaver County Radio on Monday, May 27th for a special audio and video presentation of this year's Memorial Day Parade in Beaver. Mike Romai will have live audio coverage on WBVP 99.3 FM and BCR streaming outlets. You can watch the video coverage on the Beaver County Radio Facebook page and YouTube channel. Beaver County Radio's coverage of the 2024 Beaver County Memorial Day Parade in Beaver is being brought to you by Falcones Moon Township Ford and Beaver County Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WNBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WNBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WNBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 WBVP. If you want to call in, the number is 724-774-1888. Again, that's 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. Again, that's 724-843-1. And then just think of the kind of balls Hunter tosses to his lawyer for payment. 888. Okay, Hunter Biden and his lawyer, Kevin Morris. Is there something more to their relationship? Like the saying goes, where there is smoke, there's fire. Pun intended, because this is the same lawyer that was seen smoking a bong from his balcony last year, and this was right before Hunter Biden walked into the building. I'm not making this up. There's a Daily Mail article on it. So according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Hunter Biden's lawyer, Kevin Morris, can't testify because he is a CIA asset. And this is, again, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. So from what I understand, the CIA prevented Hunter's lawyer from testifying and becoming a federal witness. Keep in mind, we only know this because a whistleblower was brave enough and came out and testified to this. So it looks like the CIA stood in the way of federal investigators when they tried to use Kevin Morris, Hunter Biden's lawyer, as a witness in the investigation against Hunter Biden. Now, why would the CIA be so worried about someone being a witness in a federal case against the son of a president who's this guy's essentially a Hollywood lawyer? Now, I'm only saying Hollywood lawyer because the CIA and Hollywood go way back. But for some reason, the CIA won't let Kevin Morris, or as Marjorie Taylor Greene calls him, Hunter's sugar daddy, be a witness. Is it because, and this is according to the House Oversight Committee, is this because he loaned Hunter Biden over $6 million? This is also the same person that bought out Hunter Biden's stake in the Chinese company Bohai Harvest. I think it's Bohai Harvest. I think it's Bohai Harvest for the same exact amount as Hunter put in the initial investment. So whatever happened to that $6 million Kevin Morris loaned Hunter? Could it be that money was a money laundering scheme to funnel money from Hunter Biden to Kevin Morris for some reason? Maybe that's why he's not allowed to testify. They can't have him be asked why on God's earth he was Hunter Biden's, quote, sugar daddy. Mark, maybe it's because they both like to smoke crack and buy hookers. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, that picture of him taking a giant bong rip on that balcony will forever be etched in our minds. But you know what, Joe? I just don't understand completely what their obsession is with covering up for the Bidens. What is it with the Bidens that they have on people? Like they continuously cover up these for these guys. It's Joe, it's Hunter, it's Frank, it's Jim. I mean, it's all of them.
The grandchildren.
Like they are, yeah, the grandchildren.
Except for the one that Hunter denied. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Navy. I mean, they are so like intertwined with the Bidens. The deep state is. It's like they're almost part of the deep state. But let's look at X. This is from Mike Bentz. Let's make today's news about the CIA blocking feds from interviewing Hunter's funders simple. Burisma, which is for those of you that are listening that don't know, Burisma is a Ukrainian gas company, was being used as a corporate crowbar by the CIA to pry Russia off of the gas market. Hunter helped that happen. There, no more mystery. That is a very, very deep. I mean, there's multiple layers to this, and that's just one. I mean, you're talking Ukrainian gas to try to undercut the Russians from the gas market, and so Hunter Biden's involved in his attorney as a CIA asset. This is from Guy Benson on X. Well, this looks very incriminating. Hunter Biden may end up facing perjury charges in addition to the various felony counts against him. None of this would be happening absent the truthful whistleblowers who ruined DOJ's whitewash plan with damning evidence. And they showed him lying under his in his deposition here from, I don't know when this was. I'm not sure if it says or not. Back in 2014, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Continues. This is from the Oversight Committee. GOP Oversight on X. Hunter Biden lied. This is from yesterday. Today, another tranche of IRS whistleblower documents was released. Based on new evidence, it appears Hunter Biden lied during our February deposition with him. Reminder, our deposition with Hunter was under oath. And they were kind of setting him up, I believe, in their line of questioning, like knowing he was going to lie or lie. And then finally here from James Lynch on X. Justice Department emphatically stated in a court filing today the Hunter Biden laptop data is real, and they want to use it at the gun trial. So yeah, this is all coming up, Joe. They granted a postponement, Joe, I believe, right?
Just for the tax trial, and honestly, I'm fine with that because Hunter Biden's going to trial on June 3rd for the gun issue. So if they want to, I think it's till September they delayed the tax trial. But we'll see how Hunter Biden fares with numerous trials at once.
Yeah, I mean, like you said here. I mean, when you guys think of all our listeners see all this stuff in the news and you're hearing about it here because with the things we talk about, we're pretty much basically ahead of the news cycle by at least a couple of days. But if Barron Trump lied under oath, imagine the outcry that would have taken place. So anything you hear about the Bidens, just imagine it being 100 times worse if a Trump family member were to commit the same crime.
Before we move on to the next topic, I just have to say you brought up Ukrainian gas and Hunter Biden, and then there's also Joe Biden who guaranteed that Nord Stream 2 would be stopped if Russia invaded Ukraine. And the CIA was supposedly involved in that, and they're involved in this Ukraine. It's someone needs to look into this. It's so obvious.
I mean, we've seen people on X refer to Europe, the countries in Europe, as vassals to America. And it's like, that's true. They just lay down and roll over and let America spank them on the behind time and time again. You're going to cut off cheap natural gas from Russia through Nord Stream into Europe just so you could do what your master says, America, and you're going to buy natural gas off of the United States? So stupid. Germany's leading the way on all this.
I feel like the vassal to Ukraine. We're giving them our money. Hey.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's move on to your girl, Jen Psaki. She's facing subpoena by Congress to testify over a lie that she told in her book. And at first, when she was getting subpoenaed, I got super excited. But then I realized is this just about the lie she told about Joe Biden checking his watch while the caskets were being walked past for the Americans that were killed in Afghanistan on his watch?
I love Jen Psaki. I don't know why. I wish she was a Republican. I think she would be so great as a Republican, as a spokesperson for the Trump administration. I thought she was awesome as a press secretary. Some of the things she spews on MSNBC are kind of ridiculous. Talking about, Trump being possibly assassinated and what would happen and stuff like that. I just don't see how this is ever going to come back to bite her. Unless she doesn't show up for her subpoena, unless she doesn't show up for her, deposition, because if we know that if you defy congressional subpoena, then you go to jail, right? Like Peter Navarro and like Steve Bannon are going to do. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if Jen Psaki shows up on Capitol Hill for this testimony.
All right. I wonder if it's just a perjury trap, a chance to get her in to testify so they could ask her something else. That's what I was thinking. It just seems too, I don't know. All right, moving on. John Kerry. How about this one? Whistleblower emails revealed John Kerry blocked the FBI and the Department of Justice from arresting Iranian terrorists and agents on U.S. soil in order to protect his Iran deal. And he even ran away from the meeting to avoid getting confronted by the Attorney General. And this is according to the United States. Yeah, it's a letter written to Secretary Blinken. Is that right? Who's it by? Let me see what it's by. Chuck Grassley, the ranking member, Ron Johnson. There's a few other ones that signed it. But this is treason, and he's making a profit off it. Remember the Logan Act, Mark?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Remember Michael Flynn in the Logan Act?
Yes, it was because he was communicating with the Russian foreign minister before Donald Trump was elected. So they whacked him right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. And the Logan Act forbids private citizens from engaging in an unauthorized negotiation with a foreign government. I think Iran is a foreign government, and it looks like that's what Easter Island head John Kerry did there. So are we ever going to get any accountability from anyone in the Biden administration? Easter Island head John. He does look like one of the statues from Easter Island, does he not? His head is just...
He does. And it's just, how do these people get away with this stuff, Joe? I mean, it is rules for thee and rules for me. And it's time and time again. Why is it always the Democrats that are getting away with this stuff? I mean, they attacked General Flynn before Donald Trump even took office because he was communicating with the Russian foreign minister like he was some treasonous traitor.
The ink wasn't even dry. The ink wasn't even dry on Trump's first executive order, and they were already sending Peter Strzok to interview Michael Flynn. It's amazing.
John Kerry, this is from Chuck Grassley on X. FBI WBs came to me and Senator Johnson with emails showing former Secretary of State John Kerry blocked multiple FBI attempts to arrest dangerous Iranian individuals during the Iran nuclear deal negotiations with Obama and Biden State Department, put politics over national security. We made those records public today. I wonder if Chuck Grassley tweets for himself, by the way. That is unbelievable. I mean, the only thing I could see the reason if him doing this was he probably thought it could derail the Iran nuclear deal. And John Kerry was one of those people that was spearheading the Iran nuclear deal, which was ludicrous to begin with. It's now known we have Iranian spies within our government. So hopefully all of that will be cleansed in early 2025. But the FBI actually trying to do something good here, Joe, actually trying to take terrorists off the streets of the good old United States of America. And John Kerry is like, no, you can't do that.
As his giant head just stared towards the east coast of the sea. Okay, but for our audience, you heard everything in this segment, because all jokes aside, you heard all three stories this segment. Ask yourself, who are the real criminals in this country? Who are the real criminals? When we come into this show with I always knew everyone in our government was a gangster, the Goodfellas, right there, it's right here in front of you. This is how it works. These people are no better than the Italian mobsters. At least they had respect and played by rules. These people don't play by any rules. Mark, anything before the break?
No, you summed it up.
Okay, when we return, it's over 22 weeks until the general election, but we have a state that has just been called. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has lost Ohio. We'll tell you how when we return here to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP, brought to you by Mitchell's Jewelers. Remember, it takes an enormous amount of pressure to make a diamond. So why should you put yourself under pressure when buying one? Don't. Go to Mitchell's Jewelers, where the choice is as clear as their diamonds. Mitchell's Jewelers, located at 2454 Mill Street in Attaquippa, PA. That's 2454 Mill Street in Attaquippa, PA. Okay, Biden on Tuesday, I believe, held a poorly attended rally in New Hampshire, and he had a little trouble speaking again. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and play the audio?
Close with this. After I signed the PAC Act into law,
Okay, that's him trying to pronounce the PACT Act. Him trying to pronounce the PACT Act. At least he's out campaigning. But Mark, I don't know if he's too busy campaigning and, forgetful Biden and his administration. While he's been campaigning all these places with zero attendance, he forgot to put himself on the ballot in Ohio somehow. The DNC, who's to blame for this? As of right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Biden will not appear on Ohio's November presidential ballot, right?
As of right now, he is not on the ballot. I mean, there is no way that Ohio is going to let this happen, though. He's going to be on the ballot. I mean, we all know that. But it's basically a formality because Trump is going to win Ohio by at least probably 5 to 6 points. Again, if the shoe was on the other foot, Joe, you think they would play nice and let Trump on the ballot? No, they would not. But, we have, everyone's soft and they're going to let Trump on, or they're going to let Biden on, excuse me.
Listen to
what do you think?
Well, you got to read this headline that Jesse Kelly on X put out. I don't even know if it's from what paper it's from, but Ohio Republicans won't pass legislative fix to allow Biden on the November ballot. Why do Republicans always get blamed for this? They're mind games that they play. I don't understand how they're able to just get away with it. It's because they have the media in their pocket. Don't get me wrong. But he's going to be on the ballot. It doesn't matter. But it'd be interesting if he didn't, because I don't know how many people vote in Ohio, but that's going to hurt the popular vote for the Democrats too. And we all know how much they love the popular vote if they lose the Electoral College. Do you see what I mean?
No, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that from that aspect of it, but I agree with Jesse Kelly. Trump, I'm sorry, I want to keep saying Trump. Biden will be on the ballot in Ohio. They will cave. They will put so much pressure. They'll blackmail Ohio. They'll do something to make sure that Biden is on the ballot in Ohio, because they would absolutely have a meltdown if he lost the popular vote.
Let's touch on a few other Biden stories here. So this is breaking. This is, I think, yesterday or the day before from the Associated Press. President Biden is releasing 1 million barrels of gasoline from a Northeast reserve in a bid to lower prices at the pump. And I just have to say, you can't do this. This stuff is for national defense, to keep our economy going, not to win over votes for an election when you're not that popular. If Trump did this, he'd be drug over the coals. Again, they dip him in hot, bubbling, burning, boiling oil.
I mean, gas hasn't been under $3 a gallon in Pennsylvania in how long, Joe? Years, multiple, probably since, early 2021?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, what does he think that this is going to do? Like, is it going to drop the price of gas, a nickel? 10 cents a gallon? I just don't see how this benefits anyone. I mean, this is not going to probably put a dent in the price of gas.
It doesn't benefit us, Mark. It benefits them, the people in power. That's why it's happening. And they have to win another 4 years, and they can't do it with this thing, this human zombified president that we have walking around the White House. He looks like a human Roomba.
Facts.
All right. You sent me the Gaza Pier. Ended up being, surprise, surprise, I guess a total waste of money. They call it a total failure, I guess. But
I don't understand how this pier cost $320 million, Joe. I'm like, my mind is blown looking at this thing on an aerial image. $320 million? I mean, this is like that bag of what are bushings or bushels for
it's like Mar-a-Lago.
90,000.
It's like Mar-a-Lago's oceanfront property. It's somehow that's worth $18 million, but this pier is $320 million.
A pier in Gaza is. I'm like flabbergasted, honestly. Like, there's not too many times where I'm speechless, but I'm looking at this picture. I'm saying, how? This should be worth like maybe $100,000.
It would appear maybe there is some wasteful spending with the pier.
Like Michael Cohen stealing $30,000 off the Trump organization when
General Michael Cohen is responsible for the pier. He's the one that came up with the pier idea.
But anyways, this article says a predictable train wreck. Apparently, that they were using this this pier to get aid into Gaza, and apparently, it's not getting into Gaza. So it says this admission came during a Tuesday press conference in which General Patrick S. Ryder, the Pentagon spokesman, told reporters that none of the 569 metric tons of food and supplies delivered into Hamas-controlled Gaza via the port have been distributed to Gaza residents by non-governmental organizations, NGOs. Since the port was completed last Thursday, some trucks operated by non-governmental organizations tasked with delivering the aid to another staging area have been ransacked by looters. The Associated Press separately reported that just 5 of the 16 trucks operated by the United Nations World Food Program met their intended destination during aid delivery runs on Saturday. The other 11 had been commandeered by a Palestinian mob. 569 metric tons of food and supplies never got to the residents of Gaza. Unbelievable.
I don't even know. I mean, we called it. No surprise here. Did you ever think this is going to work? A pier? A pier. Did you ever think this is ever going to work? No.
I mean, you might as well just go back to airdropping in supplies and
they couldn't even do that right. They were killing families because they forgot the parachutes. It's like Looney Tunes stuff here.
Just drop it into the ocean.
They were dropping boxes of, what is it?
It has a better chance of getting there.
Boxes of Acme food, like in Looney Tunes, and it was just dropping on civilians, killing them. Let's move on to someone a little bit better. Let's move on to Donald Trump. He got a rally tonight in New York City. Mark, it's going to be lit. We saw New York Yankee Stadium. I think it was last night or 2 nights ago. They had the giant Trump flag saying "Never Surrender" with the mugshot. It's happening, man. Is it the Bronx or where's he at tonight?
He is in the Bronx.
The Bronx.
Like that 2007 miniseries about the 77 Yankees, Joe. The Bronx is burning tonight, and it's burning in a good way for Donald J. Trump. This is going to be a completely fire rally. I can't wait to watch it on Rumble. I'm sure I'll be tuning in to one of the stations that broadcast these rallies. But, Joe, this is a district, an area of New York City, just north of Harlem, if you're not familiar with New York City and geography of where the Bronx is. But this is in the South Bronx, so very close to Yankee Stadium. This is a district that Biden won by, what did I tell you, Joe?
65?
65% in 2020. Lots of blacks, lots of Latinos in this area of the Bronx, of New York City. And according to this article here from Reuters, Joe, it says, and we talk about this, I'm obsessed with these polls. I look at them every day. Recent polls suggest Trump is gaining ground with black and Hispanic voters, groups that have traditionally supported Democrats. Trump's campaign sees an opportunity to grab enough of their votes to make the difference in battleground states in the November 5th election. Joe, Trump lost New York by 23 points in 2020. Is he going to win New York this time around? Highly, highly unlikely that he wins New York. But like we just said, he could put a major dent in the popular vote and at least make this some competitive. You know what? He probably wants to make the Biden campaign have to go into these areas and work a little bit harder for these votes. I just sent you a video a little bit ago on Instagram from the Trump campaign interviewing people there in the park ready for this rally. And these people, we're talking not only white folks, but minorities as well that are all on board the Trump train. So
they're pumped.
It's going to be fantastic.
All right. And just to, again, we have a negative story every day about Trump. This is a good one, though. This is from Jack Posobiec on X. Breaking. Hollywood Trump film The Apprentice to include scene of Trump raping Ivana. Why would they put this in the movie? And this might be a touchy subject. Can you actually rape your wife? Ryan, do you know anything?
I don't know the laws on that, no.
Mark, maybe no comment. I'm not going to give a comment.
I probably would say yes, but not sure. But why would you put this in the movie? They should get lawyer up, which I think they are, and get this out of the film.
It's hilarious, isn't it? All right, we got to take a break, but when we come back, it's the science of the lambs. There are now 2 instances of documented emails between Peter Hotez and Anthony Fauci on how to delete official emails over the course of the pandemic. I'm not even joking about this. Stay tuned. This is Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
When Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate.
It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back. You're listening to Thinking Logic on 99.3 WBVP. This is our last segment of the day here. Going to be a long weekend. Memorial Day coming up on Monday. Mark, this first story we're just going to touch on because, again, it's so ridiculous. Apparently, yesterday, the RNC headquarters was on lockdown, and a hazmat team had to be deployed because someone found vials of blood that were sent there, and they broke open. Were they samples for a bloodbath? What is this? Is this more of like a crazy leftist, or is this more like Fedsurrection, possibly an FBI agent or something sent this?
Yeah, when I saw this, I just thought, I actually, like, I didn't really know what to think. I'm like, what? What's the purpose of sending vials of blood to the RNC? I got nothing on this, Joe. I'm like speechless.
We're just like numb to these stories now anymore. Like ever since Jesse Smollett got like sent like the thing every once in a while, it's just these stories are just numbing anymore. Whenever you have a news cycle like this, I mean, a news cycle like this, and that brings us to our next story. Email from NIH. I don't know the guy's last name. Morenz to Peter Hotez, and Peter Hotez was on the Joe Rogan's Experience recently. He's man. How do I describe him? Anyway, from the email, he states in an email, quote, I did, and in parentheses, delete all of Peter's emails and others relating to the origin when, I can't even say this, when the crap started hitting the fan. The best way to avoid freedom of information hassles is to delete all emails when you learn a specific subject is getting sensitive. And this is from Boston University confidential treatment requested.
Could that be Peter Daszak?
I'm not sure. I probably should have looked a little bit more.
That would be Peter Daszak.
I probably should have looked a little bit more into this. And then after this all broke, Peter announced that anyone is more than welcome to his emails. Okay, so I just have to say, if he's willing to offer his emails without the Freedom of Information Act, he knows whatever evidence there has been deleted. But remember when deleting evidence was actually a crime and people would go to jail and get in trouble for it or actually get raked over the coals in the media? This isn't happening here. And this has to do with COVID.
One of the proponents of the vaccine, like very, very on board with the COVID vaccine. I believe that's him.
Yeah, and this guy, again, COVID, it's been 4 years. We haven't got an answer yet. It's the craziest thing in the world to me. I don't know. I can't understand it. All right, let's move on. Justice Alito. You might have heard this story. Justice Alito apparently flew a flag. So he flew a flag that says appeal to heaven, and some people are in an uproar over this. Question to the audience. How many House members waved Ukrainian flags when they passed billions in taxpayer-funded aid to a corrupt country called Ukraine? Anyway, some are saying Alito should recuse himself from the January 6th immunity case with Trump because he flew this flag. This is a flag from the Revolutionary War generations. Is that bad now? He has to recuse himself? Well, before he does recuse himself, we still need a few answers regarding January 6th. How many feds were in the crowd? Where's the pipe bomber? Who left the magnetic doors open? Where's the tapes? Mike No Johnson? Mark, I'm so sick of talking about January 6th and stuff like. Actually, I'm not, but a flag.
Well, I can't take credit for this take. I saw this is from Jack Posobiec. I definitely saw him tweet this on X, but he believes that the reason why you're starting to see these attacks on Alito, I think it was on Chief Justice John Roberts' wife, something like that. I'm not sure. Is because Jack Posobiec believes that the immunity case that they're going to rule on here in a few weeks has been leaked out, and the Supreme Court is going to rule in Trump's favor regarding presidential immunity. And he believes that you're seeing these attacks on the justices and their families because in advance of this ruling, in order to further discredit them from what they do. But
I love this.
You're not going to discredit Sam Alito, a great Italian American, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I like this take from Robert Reich, and by like I mean hate. The Appeal to Heaven flag isn't just tied to January 6th. It's a Christian nationalist symbol. Christian nationalists believe that the law of the land is not the Constitution, but instead the law of God as they interpret it. Do you see the problem with Alito flying this flag? I don't know where these people come that have these takes. I just literally don't understand. Again, people waving the Ukrainian flag, the Black Matters flag. We can go on and on and on and on. The Pride flag, which we're going to get into in depth over the next month. Believe you me.
Oh, they flew that from the White House.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of 2 American flags.
Yeah. They don't care. They don't care.
Man.
All right, we got 2 more topics. The first one, then we're going to get on to Nikki Haley. Just going to touch on this. Apparently, there's going to be another state. Greater Idaho, New Idaho, I don't know. This is from the New York Post. 13th conservative Oregon County approves measure to secede and join, quote, Greater Idaho. And it would include a lot of Oregon's eastern counties are going to join supposedly Idaho.
Yeah. Probably very conservative part of the state. Did you see they voted out the Soros-funded DA of Portland, I believe, Joe.
Good. Fannie Willis won re-election. For our audience that's paying attention, Fannie Willis won re-election. But I'm glad a Soros DA was ousted.
In the primary.
In the primary. Good. That's even better. Even better.
Yeah. By the way, Joe, before we get on to Nimrata, I have to ask you, what is your prediction for this verdict next week in the Trump trial?
I gotta go hung jury because he cannot be found guilty, because if he's guilty, they have to send him into jail. And they send him to jail, he gets more popular. And they have to send him to jail because we were told that this stole the 2016 election. These were high crimes, you know. They were gonna gag him and throw him in jail for even speaking out about this. So if he's guilty, they have to put him in at minimum house arrest. And that's how Biden can get out of the debates, I guess.
I am going to go with hung jury as well. I believe that there's probably a couple people in that jury that believe he's not guilty, and I believe that there's probably 7, 8 maybe that believe he is guilty and would rule guilty on no matter what. And so I'm going to go with hung jury as well.
All right, Ryan, you want to make a prediction? Hung jury, Trump guilty, Trump innocent?
It just seems to me that it's going to be a hung jury. I can't possibly imagine anything outside of that. But you know what? I've been wrong before. But I'm going to vote for the hung jury.
Okay, so 3 people, just like with sports gambling. I'm gonna have to go guilty. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm gonna have to go. They're going to put him on house arrest or something. They'll find him guilty and they'll put him on house arrest.
We win either way, no matter what happens.
I know. I love it.
Trump wins.
All right. Speaking of someone who lost and is a loser and will not be VP, Nikki Haley. She says she's back on the Trump train and will be voting for him. But for our audience, let's just see how this plays out in the coming weeks with Trump's trial and the Supreme Court decision. In my opinion, all she's doing is positioning herself to be the front runner in 2028. She wants to be VP or back in the circle. Remember, with the VP talk, if Trump wins, he immediately becomes a lame duck president. That's why we need a quality VP. Mark, anything you want to say about Nikki Haley? Then we'll give VP predictions, and I guess we'll get out of here. We got about 2 minutes. 3 minutes.
I think that her brother tweeted out something weird about there being a contested convention or delegates breaking away for Nikki Haley at the convention. I don't see that happening. But I think, what happens, in the Trump orbit, when you let bygones be bygones and you basically, apologize and pay fealty to Trump, then you're back in good graces with him. So, I think she's probably, positioning herself for a cabinet position or some other prominent role in the administration. In regards to my vice president pick, I mean, she brought up some good points. I do agree with a lot of what she said. I think Trump should maybe reach out to some of the people that voted for her, although we don't know if they were Democrat or Republican, but regardless. My VP pick, Joe, I was thinking about this today. I have settled on the person I want to see vice president would be Marco Rubio from Florida. I'm pulling for Marco. I think he'll pull a lot of the Latino and Hispanic vote. He's a good Catholic boy from Florida, and I think he'll do a great job as vice president.
I've said Ben Carson. You don't hear too much about him. No one truly knows yet, but if I had to bet, I'd put my betting money on Devin Nunes, a Truth Social ticket. It'd be interesting. He was the one, if you remember, backed Trump really hard in 2017-18, went head-to-head with Adam Schiff, pencil neck. That's my pick. Ryan, do you want to make a VP pick?
You know what? I always find the VP, I don't have a pick per se, but I find this pick always interesting because, it's all strategy. It's, let's find somebody that could pull people that Trump wouldn't pull in areas and maybe demographics. So I don't have a pick per se, but you know what? I think this is a very interesting process, and I can't wait to see who he does pick as his VP.
Okay, hopefully the next few weeks. Until then, we'll be back on Monday, Memorial Day. Mark, anything you want to say before we head out?
Oh, thank you to Ryan, our producer. Thank you to all of our listeners out there. We appreciate your support. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we remember those who lost their lives in all of the wars across America and made the ultimate sacrifice to keep this nation free.
Okay, again, we'll be back on Monday, 5 to 6 as usual, and Thursday. 2 more episodes this month of May, and then it's Pride Month. Buckle up, buckaroos. All right, thanks for tuning in tonight. Remember, you could be listening to anything in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Thanks for listening to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP.
You're listening to